Takeaways.
Did you and I really spend the first hour and a half of the show and hardly mention the name Sam Darnold? Did we really do that on a Monday after an NFL game?
Yeah. What are you
coming
going to
off
say?
a 4-interception game in L.A. and everything else? What do you think of Sam?
He was fine.
3 turnover-worthy plays. 3 turnover-worthy plays, and I think that is why I was surprised to see, like, his passer rating, right, really good yesterday. Passer rating of 118. He was 16 to 26, sweet spot number. We love anything in the attempt range and the 28 and under. 16 to 26, 118 rating, 2 touchdowns, no picks. But that QBR was just 42.2. And I think what they try to do in that QBR is to look at your decision-making and then your turnover-worthy plays. So you didn't have a pick, could have had 3. Right, threw a little out route, late, little option route to K9. K9 did a really good job. I think it was on the first possession of the game as well, or second possession of knocking it away. Like, kind of dodged a bowler there. Like, put that one out in front, man, to the sideline. You cannot leave that late and behind. Nearly a pick 6, in fact. If K9 wasn't paying any attention, right, and didn't get his hands in it at all, like, that dude might have pick 6 that sucker. That would have not been a great start. Down in the red zone, you heard Darryl Johnson be like, can't do that. Scramble to your left, scramble and run. Scramble and throw it away. Don't scramble and throw it into, and it was a tight throw, and I think it actually almost hit off Barner's helmet and gets, popped up in the air, and then obviously got hit on one down the field that was a little bit late and fortunate it fell to the ground. So 3 turnover-worthy plays, none of them go the wrong way, so he's clean. The team is clean for only the 3rd time this year. But then when he did have to hit those shots down the field, Salk, he dropped them right in the bucket. Yeah, he made some great plays.
Maybe it's hard because he didn't seem to be the best quarterback on the field yesterday. Right? I mean, like, Cam Ward was
2 different games, totally different games, right?
I said seam.
Yes.
Sam's playing at a very high level, but because the other guy had to do so many crazy things with his legs and running around, I thought that maybe he got overshadowed a little bit because a lot of the focus would have been on Cam Ward. And also, as I said, Brock, there's only so much you can prove against the Tennessee Titans. Sorry. And the same is going to be true next week against Minnesota. It's not until you play.
Minnesota's defense is
I know their defense is
really good. Yeah. That's his old team. That's a very elite defense. That's a different conversation to me than this one.
I'm glad
this one he had a chance to go 1, 2, 3.
I'm glad you feel that way. I'm going to disagree with you, and that I will be making some decisions based on how he does closer to the end of this year against some of the better teams that he's going to play.
Takeaways.
Well, I will start with Cam Ward because I was just blown away yesterday. I do have a lot of Seahawks stuff, but Cam was unbelievable. I really hadn't seen him play since he was at Wazoo. I don't watch a ton of college football, so I never saw him play at Miami. Obviously, I knew that he had gotten better, became the number 1 overall pick, but he was the difference maker yesterday. He was the only thing that kept Tennessee in that game. That would have been an ugly, ugly score without him and what he did. His legs were dynamic. The escapability showed up constantly. His sense for the moment and when his team needed him, I thought was very impressive. He was at his best, Brock, in those 3rd and 4th downs when they needed him to be. I don't know if he was perfectly accurate, and maybe that will improve as, his pocket gets better, but he more than made up for it with his playmaking. I tell you what, put some people around him, and I think he's going to be good. And I did find myself thinking about what Draymond Jones said on the way out the door, and I found that really meaningful. The fact that a guy who was traded away for no reason other than he felt like saying it took that time to say, hey, Titans fans, you got a dude in Cam Ward. Get ready because something fun is on the way. After watching him yesterday for the first time, a full game, I think he's absolutely right. He in one day became one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, I think he commands a level of respect from his teammates and peers because of that. And he is not about, it doesn't strike me as he's about Cam Ward, about being a great football player. And some of the behind the scenes from Allison and Darryl, and you heard some of that. He continues to be the first one in and the last one to leave. And there's a high care factor, and it really matters to him. And, man, I think DeMarcus Lawrence and Leonard and all those guys would also echo what Draymond did. Like, this dude's a warrior now. He took a beating. I mean, he took a beating, and you didn't see him, my ankle, my shoulder, wah. You just saw him get back up and go right back to it.
And then make people miss and then find a way to hit somebody on the right. I was blown away. I thought he was awesome, much better than maybe I'm crazy, Brock. I kind of felt like he was the number one pick by default. Like there just wasn't really anybody to take at that spot this year. Not after watching him. I feel now look, that's just one game.
The release is a little slingy.
Great.
Yep, the release is a little low, and that's going to be a little bit of a challenge with some throws and some of the accuracy at times, but outside, that's nitpicking, because outside of that, on a bad team, he is the lone bright spot, certainly offensively.
Takeaways.
Well, after hearing throughout the week that Ken Walker had earned more opportunities, I felt like that was more of an appropriate split for the rushing attack yesterday. Walker still only got 11 carries, but they involved him in the passing game too. It felt like they got the ball to him enough to have some explosive plays with that. They weren't putting Charbonnet in and disrupting the rhythm, and then they went to Charbonnet in the right situation. So I'm hoping that maybe they're starting to figure out their groove for how this rushing attack should be split.
Well, I think one of the best things is he's been able to post. Played 11 games out of 11. And that little glute thing flared up on Friday, right? He all of a sudden hit the injury report, so something happened this week at practice that tightened up a little bit or whatever. And I think there was some concern when you're limited on Friday and you're questionable on the injury report. Is this guy going to be able to go? So great news for him, because he's got to continue all season long to post and be available, because the team is way better, way better when you get that 1-2 punch. And I thought Charbonnet, I don't know if this was just my eyes or whatever, but I thought he had a little different gear yesterday too.
Yeah, I thought Walker looked more decisive. That was my takeaway in watching Ken Walker. He looked much more decisive, which allowed him to hit the hole with a little bit more of his speed. And I thought Charbonnet, Brock, I would agree with you. I thought he looked more fluid yesterday than maybe we've seen.
That's a good way to put it too. Yeah.
Like he just was.
Well, and there were lanes, and against that, the strength probably of the Tennessee's defense is their front. So it was a good job by the offensive line to open those up too.
Absolutely. They looked more yesterday like they did in the preseason, when they were moving guys out of the way and those two running backs were able to just fly through holes. I felt like we saw a lot more of that yesterday, specifically with Charbonnet, but also with Ken Walker. Both guys I thought were the best that they've been at any point this season.
Takeaways.
Salk, what is a simulated pressure?
A simulated pressure? It's when something looks like it's going to be pressure, but it's not.
Mm-hmm. And how many times do you think the Seahawks presented that to young Cam Ward? I mean, it was unbelievable yesterday, the amount of different blitzes and fronts and looks. And I shouldn't say blitzes, because a blitz is sending, 5 or 6, and most of this was 4. But it was coming from every direction possible. It was safeties, it was linebackers, it was edges. There were times they dropped both edges, right, and brought, nickel defenders. Like, it was Cam Moore got me like, man, I'd never seen anything like this. I didn't see it in Incarnate Ward. I didn't see it at Wazoo. I didn't even see it in the ACC. Like, this was chaos. And because of it, on 48 dropbacks, they were able to pressure him 40 times. They only sacked him 4, which is a remarkable number. And there's a lot of guys on that plane kicking themselves like, dang, I could have had another, and I could have had another, and Spoon could have had one, and D-Law could have had a couple more. And that could have been a 6, 7, 8 sack game pretty easily if they could have drugged that guy to the ground, but they couldn't. But their looks, Salk, and their simulated pressures, making it look like, okay, we're coming from this side. Oh, nope, we're actually not doing that. Oh, we're making it look like here comes 6 or 7. Actually, we're simulating that, and we're not doing that. And the number of simulated, I'll ask Coach, from a simulated pressure standpoint, if that was a season high and that was a point of emphasis, and against a rookie quarterback, I think it was. And you can tune that up for Mr. J.J. McCarthy on Sunday as well.
Takeaways.
All right, so that's all about the defensive scheme, Brock. Let's talk about the offensive scheme for a moment. We've spent a ton of time this morning on JSN for obvious reasons. Sam Darnold, the guy throwing him the ball, we've talked a lot about him, obviously, all year long. How much do we got to talk about Clint Kubiak? And not that we've completely ignored it, but you mentioned JSN being deep on the safety on that one bomb for the touchdown. They mentioned it in the broadcast. Moose did that there was another play where they were able to get JSN deep on a safety. that's not a JSN thing. That is a Clint Kubiak thing, right? Finding ways to exploit their defense and get great matchups for his best player right now. Again, I don't feel like that offense is built around him, and I give Kubiak credit for that as well. Even with a guy that is playing at such a high level, he's not overdoing it. He's just using him exactly the right way. Clint is really on fire right now.
Yes. Yeah, moving those chess pieces around, right? That's why it's not always checkers. And how can I get my queen in that spot of versatility? How can I get my rook here on that guy? How can I take advantage of all the different assets I have? And, you know, there's going to be more with Shaheed. I think that's going to continue to grow over the next 6 weeks because you see the ball in his hands. That dude is smooth.
Can you help me with one part here, though, and just more my curiosity? It felt, anyway, like I saw a lot more shotgun yesterday than we had been seeing for a while. Am I crazy? Did I not see that?
I don't know. It was only 46 snaps, so I think that's a little hard to gauge sometimes. I saw your note on that, and I couldn't find any direct link to that after the game yesterday. Of how many of those.
Watching the game, that was kind of how it felt to me, and I was kind of curious if you thought there might be a reason for it.
There were definitely 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 6s, 3rd and 5. There were some more of those gun 3rd down for sure. But
a couple of 5 wide plays. I don't know. It surprised me a little bit to see as much of it, but it made me wonder. Again, I may be wrong. Maybe there wasn't an odd or a change in percentage, but maybe, hey, look, we're going to beat this team. Let's put different stuff on tape. Let's force other teams to prepare for different things. I don't know.
I don't know what it feels like though, and this is I think a testament to McDonald helping Kubiak down there on the sidelines, letting him always know what's to come. Right? He never feels caught up like, oh gosh, didn't have the call ready. Oh gosh, what am I going to do on 3rd down? Oh gosh, or is this goes like. It always felt it's felt that way through this year, maybe as much as any year I can remember. Like they're all on the same page. And they're just never. I know there were some false starts, and it's never perfect. But I don't ever feel like they're frantic, or they're rushed, or they're in a hurry, and not getting to the things that they want to get to in their plan.
Takeaways.
Well, it's nothing new, but the depth on the defense continues to be incredibly impressive with Tyrese Knight and Ernest Jones both out. Patrick O'Connell, Drake Thomas, and Eman Wari stepped up to be top 3 in tackles yesterday. Brandon Peely made a big play, and then Byron Murphy was making his presence known all game with Jaron Reed out. I think what impresses me the most is that McDonald said when he first got here that he wanted the players to have answers. And it felt like last year they were trying to get there but couldn't quite get there. They had to cycle through some linebackers that didn't work. The coaching wasn't right. And just to get to this point where you seem to have the exact guys you need mentally, physically, you seem to have such detailed coaching that everyone knows their assignment. I think it's impressive to get to where they are in such a short time.
So agreed, and we'll talk to Mike about their depth. Patrick O'Connell was sort of the big fill-in yesterday, Brock. Yes. I mean, clearly he can come downhill and hit people in the running game. It looked to me anyway like he got exposed in space a little bit more. Was this one of those opportunities where, hey, this is a good matchup for him? Maybe be a little bit more concerned if he had to play against a team like the Rams, not just because they're a better team, but because of the style of offense that they run.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I wouldn't say Tennessee was a real good running team. Right? They're kind of just
I guess what I mean is just not as well equipped to take advantage of a guy who doesn't move as well in space in the middle of the field.
That's probably fair.
Now, that being said, maybe you play the Rams and he's off the field more and you're going more with one linebacker. So, they've got a lot of ways to cover for stuff like that. But I think, the bigger takeaway being Maurad's absolutely right. Like, the depth on the team is just spectacular, 1 through 70 or more.
Yeah, we hit on this a couple weeks ago. I think leading into that Rams game, especially, as almost every minute of every day was building to that game of the offseason and the identity and getting the right kind of guys to fit what you want, what Mike wants. And a season ago, it was all late. They were late to the game. It was late in the hiring cycle. It was late in the coordinating cycle. It was late in the scouting cycle. It was late in all of that stuff. And so here's Dotson, and here's Drunker, and here's a veteran safety, and here's guys that at least have played, right, that bring some of that resume. But they didn't fit. And a year later, in an offseason later, being on the hip of John Schneider at the Senior Bowl, being in the booth at the Combine for day after day after day. Like, this is what I need. This is the kind of clay I can mold and make work and fit. 1 through 70 on this roster, and you're seeing it when they get their opportunity. Not just playing, but really maximizing and playing some great football when they come and fill in.
Takeaways.
You know what yesterday was as well? It was one of those games that, remember in that losing season with the Seahawks, and they're playing the Niners, and the Niners had just kind of turned the corner, and they were so violent. And Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga, and when they were young, and Bosa and Armstead, and it was like, like, oh my gosh, every time you caught the ball, you just felt a snot bubble was coming. How many hits yesterday from how many different guys where you were like, goodness gracious, I hope that guy gets up. I mean, O'Connell had 3. And if I was doing that game yesterday, there was one of them, and I don't know if it was spit or sweat, but they did slow-mo, and it was a collision down near the goal line. Did you see it? And literally, like, this perspiration or sweat or whatever it was is like flying out of his helmet after the collision. And I'm like, that is so good. Okada came up and stuck this little Drake Thomas. He's like Sam Mills back in the day. His leverage is so phenomenal that when he sets his feet and his feet are in the ground and his face mask is forward, there is a stopping power of violence. We're not carrying guys. We're not giving up leaky yards. Whatever they hit, they destroy.
And the guys up front. I mean, like Leonard's still doing his thing. And obviously, I saw. Oh, you know who just hits so well is DeMarcus Lawrence. I just love him, man. I have loved him more than I ever thought I would this year. Yeah, I'm with you, Brock. Those are all very good. It was awesome. It was just fun seeing this team hit.
Whatever he hits, he destroys.
Thank you, Brigitte.
Takeaways.
All right, Maura, I'm with you. Still waiting to see how Rashid Shaheed is going to fit into the passing game. Brock, I'm with you. I'm excited to see it when it happens. But in the meantime, as we're waiting for him to become an offensive threat, he's already a difference maker in the return game. The hidden yards that he picked up just yesterday in the punt return game, I know special teams aren't going to be a standout talking point from the game since they gave up a punt return touchdown of their own that kind of made this a closer game than it really needed to be.
There were only 4 penalties on that play, by the way.
I mean, sure.
There was only a block in the back and 2 holds in daylight, but the refs were like, it's 23-3. Do we want a game or not a game? Yeah, let's just let them score. So at least we have some theater in the second half.
I know you like to talk about hidden yards, and clearly I think you've seen them from Rashid Shaheed just in a couple of games. He does make a difference in the punt return game. And similarly, I think we got to start throwing even more credit at Jason Myers.
Yep.
I mean, this is a new job of the kicker. This year, we've never talked about this before. The job of the kicker on kickoffs has always been kick it deep. Kick it as deep as you can and let them have a touchback and keep the ball out of their hands. But there's a new job this year. It involves getting it higher. It involves getting the ball to land exactly where you want. There's a distance control where you don't want to hit it too far, but you don't want to hit it too short. It's almost like a golfer where you're not just aiming left or right, but there's also a distance control.
There's a landing area. There's a distinct landing area.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal at it.
He's the best in football at it. Yep. So huge credit to him. That has absolutely helped pin the other team deeper than they would be. And Rashid Shaheed doing the exact opposite on the punt return game. Little hidden yards that do make a difference in these wins.
Takeaways.
I was surprised that was Derrick Hall's first sack. He has 10 pressures, 7 quarterback hits this year. It feels like he's been a difference maker. So I guess it kind of speaks to that not always being the most important stat, but hopefully some more to come for him.
I would agree. I think even McDonald at the presser yesterday was like, oh, that's his first? I'm like, huh? The dude has been, an old Pete Carroll word, right? Like, you feel him. You feel him. And just like my last takeaway here, don't you just feel this front? And I've said it every Monday, Salk. I've said it like every quarterback. It's from a quarterback's old perspective. You just feel this front. You feel this pocket just punctured and dent and like it just is overwhelming.
Hey, you know who I felt yesterday for the first time maybe all year was Spoon.
Oh, yeah.
You felt him in the rush. You felt him on,
Yes.
in the back end. You felt him knocking away passes.
You set up about 3 of those knockout shots by setting an edge and stopping it. So here comes cleanup on aisle 4. Yeah.
Yeah, good on him. We got a bunch of texts about him as well. So.
Yep.
All right, there you go. You have one more, Brock? You want to finish it up?
Well, I just found it remarkable that Tennessee, and I'll have to ask Coach McDonald about this, I can't remember a game. I said it in my little post-game video reaction that I try to do right after every game when it ends. I don't ever remember seeing 24 conversion attempts. The Titans had 17 third down conversion attempts, 6 of 17, and then 5 of 7 on fourth down. 24 different conversion attempts.
That's crazy.
The Seahawks had 8. 2 of 7, 0 of 1. Like that was it. And yet you totally controlled the majority of that game, and they were in desperation mode, really, as you stepped on them early and tried to chase you down.
All right, there you go. That is a full slate of takeaways, Brock, every day after.